It's Way Up with Angela Yee, and you know I'm excited because Kehlani is here with me today.
Hi.
Fresh off putting out a brand new album that everybody's talking about, Crash. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. I did a really cool signing yesterday, and it was like probably the craziest turnout of my career so
In New
far.
York?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was super crazy.
I saw people saying you don't even have to buy anything. She's going to sign for you. Because, you know, sometimes you go to signings and like, okay, we got to push these sales. You got to buy this. You got to buy this, you know, merch, and you got to buy the album. And then, but you were signing everything for everybody.
Yeah, and also people can just come hang out and take pictures. I feel like it's always been my thing for me to be fan focused. That's the most important thing for me, honestly. Like, the sales are cool, charts are cool, that's all right, but for me it's getting to see my impact in person and getting to like exchange that energy with people who feel like I've done something for them. So
I think people are very connected to you because of the things that you talk about in your music. It's very honest.
Thank you.
But this album, by the way, and I've seen you talk about it, and it's called Crash, and I know there has to be a reason for it because it feels like a lot of things.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. Crash.
You know, I actually realized after watching interviews that I did before the album came out that I was trying so hard not to spoil anything that I feel like I didn't explain it properly. But to me, it's just who I am emotionally. It's who I am as a person. I am all over the place. I am chaotic. I do have a bunch of different emotions going on. I have highs and lows and ups and downs. And it was important for me to just stand in that and embrace that. And also, to me, this was my pivotal moment where I got to show, like, you couldn't put me in a box musically. And I feel like I just kept getting people wanting me to make 2 albums ago again, or my first mixtape again, and just be stuck in this like same sonic, you know, situation. But if I wanted to be able to grow as an artist, I had to make something that was polarizing, and some people really hate it and some people really love it, and I think that's exactly what I wanted to accomplish.
And some people will say, I like certain songs on here.
Yeah.
And
they may not like everything, but I'm excited to see how tour is gonna go.
You know, it kind of reminds me of, I'm gonna say, like iHeart Festival. When we do that, it's a lot of different genres coming together in one space. But I appreciate and enjoy that because sometimes it makes you listen to things that maybe you wouldn't have ordinarily listened to.
Yeah.
Like, you have some country feel, you have some rock feel, you have some dance feel, but then you have the R&B type of Kehlani. And so I think that was nice for you. The other thing that we can't put in a box with you is, I don't know if you want to be committed, if you want to not be committed, if you want to say, do your thing and I do mine, or if you're jealous. I have no idea, like, when it comes to that. You know, it feels like you're kind of just flowing with things, but then I also feel like you're a little jealous.
Me?
Yeah.
I won't say jealous. I think I'm competitive by nature to myself, where I'm always challenging like how better I can show up in whatever, you know, space I'm in. Like, dang, you're not going to be a better person for me than my person. That's that. But it's not like I'm jealous. I also really want people to have the best for them, whatever that means.
Right.
But I wouldn't say jealous. I think there's probably an interesting word I can't figure out right now, but not jealous. I want everybody to
do that shit again.
Yeah, hello. That's a respect song.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
That's about being like, I don't want to catch you doing some stuff that's gonna embarrass me.
All right, I can feel that.
I don't like
can
being
see that.
embarrassed. I'm a Taurus.
Oh, well, yeah. and people have to understand, like, it's you. So if anybody does something, it's gonna make the
Oh my
blogs,
God, it's gonna
make
blow
the
up.
news.
I hate it. Just
Have you ever gotten like one of those DMs where it's like, yeah, such and such is with me?
Absolutely. Not such and such is with me, but I've gotten, I was out here tonight and I saw such and such with such and such at the club. I just thought you should know, girl.
Ooh, and how
like
do you
from
respond
fans,
to something like
I was like, wow, amazing. To the person.
So what I learned is you read your fan DMs.
I do. There's some amazing stuff in there. Some pretty hilarious stuff too. So.
All right. Now I want to talk about the song Chapel for a second. And clearly you love Vegas.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So do you see yourself like one day just randomly? I used to think that's how I was going to get married one day. Just like randomly being like, let me just go ahead and, you know, get married like on a whim.
I think if I felt it, yeah, I think it would. If it made sense, it made sense. I think I'm fun in that way where it could happen. But
and then later on, you'd be like, "What was I doing?"
Potentially, potentially.
And then you have your daughter on the album too. She's 5 now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I know. And,
it's crazy.
And she's been on the road with you, but it sounds like she really could hold a note.
Oh, she can really sing. I wasn't like planned to put her on the album. She was at the studio and she was singing and she sounded amazing. And I was like, if you want, because I don't force her to do anything. I'm not like trying to be a stage mom. Like, I don't like if she wants to be a brain surgeon, that's, I want her to do what she wants to do. And she was singing, and I was like, if you want to go sing it, you can sing it. And at first she was shy, and then she went in there and she smacked it, and that was the first take. Like, she only did one take. And
she sings better than me, I'll tell you that.
She might sing better than me. I'm not going to hold you. Like, it's crazy.
So does she sing at home? Like, do you help her harmonize and do things? If you see her doing that, are you like, come on now, do it like this? Or
no, because I really want her to step into whatever she's doing with the autonomy to ask me if that's what she wants. I don't ever want her to, like, I don't want to plant these seeds of, like, comparing or, like, training, just anything that her mind could go, like, oh, you're trying to, she's just very her-led. But if she asks me, like, sometimes she comes to rehearsals and she wants to dance on the stage, or she comes to the shows and gets on stage because she wants to. So it's more like that kind of stuff. That's still fun for her.
Now, was it scary for you to put out an album like this?
Absolutely.
Where, normally it's a genre, like this is an R&B album. I mean, and you've been able to do a lot of different things. Like, you've done pop, you've done R&B, you've done, like, a rock film. You've done a lot of great collabs. One of my favorites has always been the Pink Sweat, the feature that you did with him at My Best. I love the lyrics to that, too. At My Worst, sorry. But when you thought about doing this, right, what was the reaction from your team, and what thought went behind it?
Man, all the collaborators I worked with were so important, because they were like, we know what you listen to. We know what you're excited about. We were in the studio and you're watching things that people wouldn't expect you to watch, or listening to things people wouldn't expect you to listen to. And for some reason, everybody expects this one, push from you. And it's always like, we want heartbroken R&B, or we want, like, somber, dark R&B, or we want, like, the same inspirational song, of the coming of age inspirational song over and over and over again. And I just was like, I have to take a leap, because I'm going to be 30 next year. By the next album I drop, I will be 30 years old.
You're still so young, which is amazing, because honestly, you've been in this for so long.
Oh, I'm tired.
The fact that you're really only about to be 30, and this is your fourth album?
This is my fourth album and my sixth project. My seventh project.
See, I
have no idea. And I guess that brings me to my point of, like, by project 7, I should be pivoting. I should be doing something that's scary. I should be doing something that maybe makes people go, I don't even know if I like this person anymore, but brings this whole other group of people that go, wow, I'm seeing people say it's my worst album. I'm seeing people say it's my best album. Yeah. And I'm seeing people say, I never even liked Kehlani until this album.
Right.
I didn't know she could do this.
Yeah.
So if I dropped another R&B album, I just wouldn't be true to being an artist, I think. So that was important for me to just, like, have that moment in my career to say, like, I was able to artistically just completely say, F the box.
Yeah, I mean, you have country music on here, and I feel like that's been kind of a thing. Like,
it's been brewing a little bit,
Yeah, it's been brewing, which I love. Now, when you think about that, right, was this something that you already had planned, and then Beyonce comes out with a country album? Or was
it was already a country song. Yeah,
it was already done. Okay.
Well, it was an interlude that was just like these little, like, clicky sounds and, like, a little bit of a guitar strum. And I said we should turn it into a country song, because it already kind of had this, like, twang to it. And so I went back in, we got it reproduced, and then we made it the country song. And then obviously Cowboy Carter came out.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of, like, in my last album, there's all these, like, really guitar-led, twangy songs. And on my first album, there's a bunch of those, too. So it's not unorthodox. And also, my grandmother only listens to country music. And she's told me so many times she can't listen to any of my music because of the subject matter, because it's not country. And she's like, I respect it, but, like, you know what I love. And I got to play this for her before it came out, and she cried. Aww. And was like, I finally have something to listen to. So, like, I accomplished it with that for my grandma.
Did she listen to the lyrics, too?
She did, and she was like, I don't like that you're saying this and this and this, but it's one of the cleaner. Yeah, it's one of the cleaner songs on the album for sure.
That's interesting to think about. I never thought about that, like what your family thinks, because like I said, you are very open and honest, and this is an album I have seen personally a lot of people embracing and being really excited about. I agree with 8. But. But yeah, what do they say? Like, your family, are they like, we can't?
My family, what was really cool, shout out my little sister, she actually junior A&R'd this album. It was really cool to see her step into that role, because she has a really crazy ear, like always has. Like, there's songs that blow up, and I promise you, my sister showed me them 6 months ago. Like, it was really cool to be able to see her step in the room and, like, command that. And she loves hip hop, and she, like, really loves rap, but, like, she always has the ear for, like the coolest, most alternative song on every album of mine is her favorite. So for this one, getting to see her be like, wow, like all of this is this, and it sounds like this, and it feels like this, it was really cool. And the rest of my family, like, honestly, they're just stoked to see me happy and excited to see me, like, make things I care about, and they want to come to the shows and turn up. And
your daughter's executive producer on the album, too?
She executive produced every album since she's been born.
It's not a game. She's going to be paid for life.
Absolutely. Hope so.
Does she know that? Like, do you tell her, like,
No. You know, I really try to keep my daughter in her world of like regular kid
until she's on tour and she's like,
yeah, and even then she can't really connect it. Like, we went to the aquarium the other day and we walked past people and they were like, oh my God, Kehlani. And she was like, I thought you don't talk to strangers. She was like, why do those people know your name? Like, I was like, they like my music. And she was like, but then why did you talk back if I can't talk to strangers? And sometimes that is really hard to navigate because you're like,
it's a great question.
Dang, what do I say? Because I also have to tell her, people know your name. And people might say hi to you. And people might say, hey, Adea, come here. Can I get a hug? And like, you know, separate the boundaries between that. So that's always like,
you know, I remember you said you've always known that you wanted to be a mom.
Yeah.
So where did that come from, like, as a kid, or, you know, even growing up, like, knowing that, like, I want to have a baby? So, and you've been so honest about that journey, too, of wanting that. Because sometimes that's hard for people to express because you do never know what will end up happening. You know, as a woman, there's so many things that your body you can't control.
Absolutely. I always said, like, whatever God wants to bless me with, you know, that I hoped it was going to be a child or more than one, but whatever God wants to bless me with. And she is more than I could have ever expected in any kind of way. And I got exactly what I dreamed about and more. And she, honestly, it's her world. It's really her world. And, like, we all just, like, rock behind her. But as far as, like, being open and honest about the journey with motherhood, it's just, I think people need to understand that motherhood looks different in so many ways for so many different people. And we're breaking so many molds of, like, hundreds of years of like what motherhood is supposed to be. And it's just been cool to see like young moms come up to me with their kids at like meet and greets or signings and be like, you know, this made me feel like I could still go to work. I could pursue my dreams. I could do music. I can be an artist and I could be a kick-ass mom. So.
Right. And have a six-pack. Okay.
And a six-pack. Yeah. And go to the gym.
Now, how has that helped you? I know for a lot of people, like, going to the gym is really therapeutic.
It's so mental. It is so mental. Like, I always say, like, to people who are always being like, I want to start going to the gym, at some point when it switches from a physical goal to, like, I have to do this to stay sane, I feel like that's when you unlock, like, how important fitness is to you, because you get past the whole, like, I have a goal of, like, what I want to look like. But if I miss the days, and which I have because we've been on this, like, promo run, and I'm like, I'm itching to get back to go to the gym. So.
And I saw that you said that you were renting Airbnbs while you were doing this album and surfing. You must have had a really good time.
I had a blast. Hopefully it sounds like that.
I was going to say, it sounds like it.
Yay.
Even from listening to, like, earlier singles like After Hours, which had the Nina Sky type of feel. That felt like a really fun song, and I think that people had an anticipation of, or expectation.
The Club Banger album.
Yeah.
I kind of messed up and said that early on. I was like, we're outside, we're dancing, because there are some, like, club dancey moments on there, but I just didn't want to spoil anything else. So I just kept saying, whatever you're expecting, it's not what you're expecting. And that's about all I was able to say. But we actually made After Hours in San Diego, and we were surfing that whole trip. And I walked in the room and I was like, what is a song that as soon as it comes on for, like, our generation, like, everybody is like, whoa, and, like, everybody dances. And I was like, okay, instantly Nina Sky. And so I told the producer to make it. And
sorry.
Hello, hey.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. But we made it. And I remember going and getting in the Sprinter to go to the club that night. And the whole Sprinter of everybody who worked on the album and, like, dancing, singing the words. And we were like, okay, we might got one, I think. So
yeah, that's like a real celebratory in the club. I feel like people don't go to clubs like they used to. It's a different.
No, it's different.
It's something different that's happening now, though. I feel like it's more of a lounge, restaurant type of experience. And I've never lived. I know you live in LA now. And are house parties still a thing?
No, honestly, it's just too much. It's too much weirdness that happens, and, like, a lot of untrustworthy, I think, dynamics, and just people being like, I don't know what this means, and people being so afraid of, like, cameras and
even posting where you are. It's like, do not post where you are until absolutely. Do not let people know you're going to be out of town.
Exactly.
You know, it's a hard thing.
It's a real thing. It's a real thing. But I feel like that's why it's important for me. I feel like to do these after parties and these release parties and the parties for after hours, because party culture at its core is something that really does bring people together and really does feel good. And there was parties using Revolution. There's joy and dance and music using Revolution. And that's imperative for people to be joyous and to be together, especially in really tough times in the world where like we're crazily separated. So we're having a party tonight to celebrate this album.
And we need that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's needed for sure.
We definitely need that. And, you know, since you talk about everything that's going on in the world, and I know that you've said, like, as far as you being really vocal about support for Palestine, which is a humanitarian thing, right?
Not political.
Right. It's not a political thing. It is awful to see what's been happening. But do you really feel like people were kind of distancing themselves? Because it is hard sometimes for artists to take a stand.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you did, because I do feel it's important if it's something that touches your heart, but people are watching and paying attention. And sometimes people are learning that way too, that may not have ordinarily paid attention.
Yeah, and there was a clip of me on Instagram Live that went viral of me being like, every single person that, and I, like, that was me super caffeinated talking on live, like early in the morning, just yapping about a bunch of different stuff.
But green tea.
Exactly. There's so much context to that. There's huge teams that are behind artists. It also wasn't every single feature. There were certain things that were like, especially like my age peers, that were like timing was an issue. They had albums coming out or things like that. But there was people that I very much looked up to and that I very much, you know, asked to be a part of it. And like they have a team member that was like, we don't like her at all.
Whoa.
Or they were just like, and then I looked into their politics, and then like there was some comments slid on the way here and there. I wouldn't just pull that out of my ass and just like make that up, because at this point, what's going to happen is going to happen. What I've lost is what I've lost, and things that have, you know, what I've gained is what I've gained. Like, I will never regret ever being vocal about any injustice that ever existed. This isn't specific to a country or a place. This is specific to innocent lives being lost on a massive scale. I would defend any single place in the whole entire planet, any people that this happened to. So I don't have any regrets there.
And it's also about raising money to make sure that you can show support, which you've done also.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I do appreciate that, because some artists will say, I don't talk about things like that in my music. I don't want to, but you've been, you know, and I think that's important for people to see that and do that. I actually like when comedians, I like when artists, I like when actors can take a stand and really firmly believe in something and support that and be on the right side of things too.
Yeah, I mean, it's key to history. I mean, if you look at every single revolution in history, the Beatles were a major part of shifting out of the Vietnam War and like healing all of things that was going on there. Then we have Nina Simone with Strange Fruit. We have James Baldwin. We have like, art is part of revolution. It's also key to stamping these times in history. For me, the album was already finished. It had been finished before October. I said, not only do I feel really crazy about dropping an album during this time, I'm going to feel extra crazy about dropping visuals, and nothing attributes to anything that I'm being vocal about or believing in. I didn't want to go cheesy, make a song. Like, I won't make a We Are the World. I don't. And to be honest, I really understand that people would call that corny. Yeah. People don't want that. So what did I do? I really had a knowledge of my audience. I said, I'm going to give them an R&B song because that's what they want from me right now. That's what they love. That's what they know. And I'm going to sneak an initiative in there, drop a T-shirt with a Palestinian designer and a company in Palestine, have them, which is supporting their families and their company, and have them all make the money. I have nothing to do with it except for pointing people in the direction. Right. That's it. That's all I wanted to do. I made no money from that. I got a whole lot of crazy shit from it, but I'm glad we were able to pair something with something that already existed, because if I just smacked a revolutionary song on this album in nowhere, that would have been opportunistic. Yeah,
that would have been and then you would have been like in the middle of a...
Yeah, and just opportunistic. Yeah. Like, I didn't want it to be that. I just knew I had things coming out, and there's a way to pair initiatives with anything that you do. We did food drives on my last tour. I did a deal with Fashion Nova, and I said, I'll do this deal with you if you donate money to all these LGBTQ centers. There's a way as artists that we can recognize our audience and pair them and point them in a direction towards an organization or a cause that already exists. Right. And therefore, we don't have to take up space. We can just amplify.
That's dope. I appreciate you for that.
For sure.
Now let's talk about this song, Sucia.
Yeah.
And you got a Sucia tattoo on you?
I did.
Now, did you have that tattoo already? Or
I
did
had
you
it
get
already.
Okay.
I had it already, and I named
And it's kind
the
of in
song.
the tramp stamp spot,
Yeah,
a little bit higher.
a little Sucia spot.
A
Yeah,
little Sucia
actually.
spot, okay.
I had got this tattoo actually during the New York camp for Crash that I did here. I did it in Harlem, and we stayed for like a week and made music here. And I got the tattoo, and then in Vegas, we made this song. And because it opens with me saying a Spanish word, I was like, perfect. This can be our little dirty song. It can be Sucia. And I remember being like, well, I feel like all my fans know this, but Jill Scott classifies as my favorite rapper.
Okay. I'm not mad at that.
Like, I'm sorry, but Jill Scott rapping, I think maybe she classifies this as more like spoken word, like poetry, but like singing or rapping, like the bars are there forever.
I mean, I love her opening.
It's perfect. And I had to really sit there and tell her, like, you have no idea how much this means to me and how much this means to like everybody. We put the track list up and people were like, Jill Scott, like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And then to be able to like mix it with Young Miko was also really cool to me because that's just two worlds. At first I was like, people are gonna be like, what the hell?
You were like, but that's a crash. That's what we.
That's the album. It is a crash.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so funny. That's a really beautiful, sexy song. I have to ask you, like, because even me listening to the album, because when it came out on Friday, I listened to it. Then I listened to it in the car because now I'm sitting in traffic for hours every day because I moved. But it does give me an opportunity to listen to music more, you know, because I used to drive to work when I did mornings. It'd take me 15 minutes.
Yeah.
By the time I get there, I done heard 2 songs. That's it. But now I get to hear like a whole album on the plus side of things. And every single time it'll be something different that I like the best.
I love that.
Now, for you, does that happen when you're listening to this, where you like, this is my favorite, like, this is my baby,
yeah, people,
and then it switches up?
They keep asking me what my favorite song is,
like,
and it just
know.
It keeps changing, and I know even more so it'll change as I'm performing them, and it'll change as I'm meeting people and they're explaining like what each song means to them, and every time we made a new song and decided it was on the album, it became my favorite song.
How many songs did you do?
Oh my God. So many. This album started as my self-titled.
Okay.
So it was supposed to be the Kehlani album. And I was like, man, I have all these like really strong R&B ideas that I want to do and things like that. And then it just kept shape-shifting. And we kept going to all these different cities. And I kept like being like, no, I want to challenge myself in this way. And I want to do this and I want to do this. And it just took its own life. Like, it really did. And we ended up naming the album after the song Crash was made.
Oh, okay. So the title track is, okay.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, it was hard to even decide what was coming out after Hours because After Hours was obvious to all of us. We were like, duh, this is the single. But we had no idea what to come out next because I didn't know how to paint the picture of what this world was going to be because it is crazy.
Yeah, and it is, it's perfectly titled, I feel like.
Thank you.
Now, you ended it with Lose My Wife, which was an interesting choice. And that's what makes me feel like, can Kehlani be in
a relationship?
Yeah.
I'm screaming. Who knows, can I?
Listening to that song, I was like, yeah, you got to go. Like, just the stuff that you were doing.
The verse was very purposeful. I said, you know what? I have not written a classically toxic, Kehlani playful, kind of trifling verse in a little while on this project. And I slipped that one in there. That was not a true story. Yeah, that was not a true story. That was just a me purposeful. Like, I'm going to say something cheeky because I think people know I'm cheeky and that's their jam. So I'm going to just slide it in there.
Well, that came from somewhere, you know, I was going to say.
Deep in the subconscious, yeah.
So what about a tour now? What does a tour look like for this album?
Oh my God, it's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be so nuts. I have so many ideas. I made this album specifically to tour.
Okay.
That's why there's so many sounds. That's why the production was so important because I made this specifically to have fun. I learned a lot on my last tour, touring a very like sweet and light and airy album. And maybe like the first 2 weeks in, we ended up playing majority of the album before that because there was so much more energy on that one, and you start realizing like what kind of world you want to cultivate in this space. That
was
you're
a beautiful
playing.
album too, though. Everything is just so different. It's like you said.
I hope I never make the same album twice. Amen.
Yeah, we definitely cannot put you in a box.
I
at
love
all.
that.
Just having experience.
Y'all hear that? Y'all heard that here first. Thank you.
But that is scary because most artists would be like, and most labels will tell you, you have to make this album because how are they gonna? What genre is it gonna be in? But I feel like streaming helps with people being able to stream singles. And so I guess after hours, I hear that all the time, like randomly playing. I was reading this article about artists and how they feel about streaming. What are your thoughts about streaming?
About streaming? Honestly, I'm not like, I really stay out of the world of all that because so much has been conflated with just things that I have no idea about, like buying streams and placing things strategically here and how this works and this works. And I will always say impact matters more than, you know, anything in life. You may have no idea. This album may stream horrible. This may sell horrible. This may place horrible. But when you come to the show, the energy in the room is palpable. You know, it is. You walk away with something crazy. People are going to leave and be like, what was that? People had such a great... The shows were so big on the last tour that people were like, oh, I actually had no idea that this many people even fucked with Kehlani. Like, they had no idea. And I think that I'm in a unique situation that I never really take for granted because it isn't dependent on that. I've always had such a strong bond with my fans where you see how they show up in the street for me at the signing. You see how they come on tour. You see how much it means to them. And like that is the only thing that matters. I'm super focused on that.
How were the writers' camps for you? And for people listening, like tell us some of the things that goes on in these writers' camps. Like you said, you did one here in New York, but then you traveled all over and did different writing camps. Like how does that help you? How does that inspire you? What are some things that went on during yours that's memorable to you?
Well, basically, we started in San Diego. We went to San Diego twice, one at the beginning, one at the end. And I bonded so hard with, well, technically we started in the Bay, and then we went to San Diego. But I ended up like kind of rocking with the little group that we had formulated early on, and we just kept like moving everybody. We did the Bay, we did San Diego, we went to New York, we went to Dominican Republic, we went to Vegas.
Sheesh.
We went back to San Diego, and it happened on accident because we started at a studio in the Bay, and like nothing was working. Like the equipment wasn't working. Like the studio engineer, it was like thing after thing after thing. But we had already brought everyone from LA and put them in hotels. So it was like, what do we do? I said, you know what? Let's just rent a bunch of equipment. Let's set up in a house and let's put everybody in different rooms and let everybody just walk around back and forth. So I kept visiting each producer pocket in each room and just being like, I like a little bit of that. I like a little bit of that. Let's mix it. And I had really incredible collaborators. My A&R is absolutely incredible. All of my producers are really incredible. Everybody I wrote with is really incredible. And how much we all ended up being able to genuinely say, like, I love you guys as a family during this process, to where celebrating the final studio sessions and playing the album over and over and over again felt like this thing that we all did. It didn't feel like my album. It felt like, y'all, we made it here. My visual team was sitting there putting up all these mood boards, downloading millions of photos and going from the computer to the Kinko's to printing it out and back and gluing it on the wall. And everybody was so invested in this process. And it just feels like one big familial like gift and offering than it could ever feel like something that was like a Kehlani camp. Time. It was the best.
What do you listen to, like, outside?
So much.
Yeah,
so
I'm just
much.
curious, like, when Kehlani's in the gym working out, is there a different playlist than when you're in the car driving, than when you're going surfing? Then
I promise I don't say this to be cool. I say this to be that I'm a Pisces moon. I'm really delusional. But I listen to a lot of classical in the gym.
Wow.
Because it really makes you, like, zone out. And something about the really turn, like, makes me a little, like... anxious plus the pre-workout, so I have to find like a balance of something that makes everything really cinematic. So I listen to a lot of like classical, I listen to a lot of jazz, I listen to a lot of bossa nova, I listen to a lot of Spanish music, I listen to rock, I listen to a lot of like electronic, whatever genre we consider, like a Tame Impala. There's so much. I listen to rap. I listen to R&B. I don't know.
I just listen to music.
I like music. I was in a band for 6 years of my life, so I'm very instrument led versus like words or vocals.
And then you also have Afrobeats artists.
Yeah,
you know,
Omale.
I
love him.
But that didn't feel like an Afrobeats vibe. Like, did you think it was?
It didn't start as an Afrobeats vibe at all. There was just like this crazy piano part, and then my A&R, who's absolutely incredible, went to Guilty Beats, who is an Amapiano producer, and had him kind of like put those classic Amapiano undertones like underneath it to make it go that way. And then we sent it to him, and he sent it back so quickly. And he actually did 2 versions for me. Like, he's incredible. We love him.
I learned about Amapiano from listening to Uncle Waffles.
I love Uncle Waffles. Ooh, I love her.
Traveling really does open up your mind to so much when it comes to music. And I can tell from this album that you've been, doing a lot in different places.
Worldwide, for sure.
But I think that's the beautiful thing about it. So
thank you.
I do definitely want to thank you for coming through. I know you got
a
whole run that you have going on. And I'm glad you came because I know you before you were like interviews, you were kind of off of it, but I'm glad that...
No, we're good. We're in a good place.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm happy to see it because I was like, she better come up here one day.
No, I'm in a really good place.
You seem like it.
Thank you.
So congratulations. Make sure y'all buy, crash, go get your record signed.
Yeah, and come to tour. Come to tour.
People say stream it, but now it still sounds weird when we say buy, but make sure you go.
Come get it.
And where can people get information on the tour?
The tour information is gonna drop super soon. Just keep up tabs with all my different various social medias. It's all at Kehlani, and just
you saw me trying to get a little scoop, like
right. The announcement's gonna come soon. Don't worry.
Okay. Do we know where we're starting?
Somewhere in the Midwest, I think. I just found that out actually maybe like an hour ago.
All right, good. Well, there we got a little spoiler. Okay.
Yeah, come on, teasers.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Kehlani, and I just love who you are as a person. I appreciate it.
Thank you.